There are moments when a life you've built in public feels less like your own and more like a mirror held by 1,000 people who never learned to look carefully. Kelly had learned early in her career to accept that the mirror would sometimes lie. Headlines would shimmer, quotes would be taken out of context, jokes would turn into narratives, and the world beyond the studio would assemble meaning out of fragments. She'd grown used to it, like a dancer grows used to cold stages. But in the small hours of a Tuesday when the city fogged and the script for the morning show lay open on the kitchen table, a lie arrived with a clarity that cut. It started stupidly the way most combustions begin. A tiny claim pushed by a faceless account, a photomontage stitched with bad lighting, a quote pinned beneath an image with the kind of punctuation meant to feel like a verdict. She first learned of it when Mark, who woke earlier than she did and collected his phone like someone who liked to be surprised by the world, set it on the island and said, "Have you seen this?" Kelly squinted. A headline read like a dare. The image beneath it was of her at a gala months ago, smiling in a mid-laughter that made the caption phrase read like an admission. The phrase itself, short, delicious, viral, claimed she'd said something private, something careless in the hallway that would, if true, be a problem. It wasn't explicit or criminal. It was the kind of claim that animated gossip, the sort of thing people share in clusters to prove they are in the know. "It's nonsense," she said. She tried to let her voice stay level. She had by now an instinctive list of facts she could recite. Where she was that night, who had been in the room, the sequence of events. "We were doing a sound check. I was talking about socks." Mark laughed, the gentleness of his amusement a small fortress. "Socks? That's your scandal." "Not socks," she said. "But the headline makes it sound like something else." She showed him the thread of replies beneath the post. Thousands of comments, some angry, some jokey, some ready to retweet outrage. The tweet had been retweeted by accounts that traded in moral miniatures. Within hours it had been picked up by a click-churn site that thrived on the currency of presumptive drama. They had weathered small storms before. Kelly's life, by virtue of the television mic and the morning banter, had always been a public service. She supplied anecdotes and warmth. Producers fed the machine, the audience returned reaction. But this felt different. There was an organized cruelty in how the line between nuance and headline had been walked away from. This wasn't a misquote that could be corrected with a producer's email. This was a frame that would not easily snap back into place. She called her producer. She wrote a brief, factual social post. A clarification about the context of the photo and a gentle, tight request that her followers check sources. They issued a standard correction on air later that Monday morning with Kelly smiling as she did. Smiles designed to defuse, to make the thing go away. It didn't go away. Instead, the machine expanded. Clips of a panel discussion from last year were cropped to rearrange emphasis. A joke she'd made on a late-night show was looped with suggestive captions. Unrelated private messages were placed in a thread and presented as corroboration. People who had never met her began to make moral judgments as if they had. The aggregation of small, misinterpreted pieces began to form a mosaic that felt less like a portrait and more like a caricature. On day 3, sleepy from the endless loop of checking notifications and scheduling interviews with producers, Kelly found herself at the kitchen table hearing the same 2 words over and over in her head. Enough is enough. There are different ways to fight falsehood. You can litigate, which is slow and legalistic. You can issue denials, which often feed the fire. You can ignore, which sometimes lets the lie decay on its own. Or you can respond in a way that does not simply deny but explains and reframes. Kelly had a microphone and a platform and, more importantly, a track record of asking people to listen. She decided she would not let this packaged lie sit and infect the narrative about who she was. Not with her family's dignity at stake. Not with the mental health of people close to her at risk from the rumor mill. She sat with Mark and the team. the head of communications, a legal advisor who had seen uglier spin, and her closest producer. The room was small and efficient, the kind of space that smelled faintly of coffee and the paperbacks people always leave in production offices. They talked in terms of strategy first, how to correct, how to avoid amplifying, how to protect family, but quickly they moved into tone. Kelly did not want a dry PR statement. She wanted truth with resonance. Something that would do both sides of the work. Restate the facts and, crucially, speak about why lies that spread so easily hurt people. People don't just react to facts, Mark said quietly. They react to meaning. If we only give facts, we lose the story. Kelly tapped her pen. Then we give them a story, she said. A true one. One that shows the difference between what's invented and what actually happened. The message she crafted would not be an angry screed. Nor would it be a lawyerly decree. It would be human, unvarnished, and it would invite conversation but not introspection-laden performances. It would be a public correction wrapped in personal testimony. She wrote late into the night, drafting, erasing, and rewriting. Friends who are good with words offered suggestions. Producers smoothed cadence. Legal counsel excised legal landmines. But the bones of the message were Kelly's. Short paragraphs that told the sequence of events, followed by an appeal to the public's better judgment, and ending with a call to action about responsible sharing. The message was published on a Thursday, during a slot of the morning show where the world still paid attention, and where Kelly could choose the cadence of delivery. She opened the segment with a smile designed to be steady. Then she read her message aloud and the camera held her face close. There was silence when she finished, the kind that feels like the air catching itself. I made this because I think we have a responsibility, to one another, to the truth, she said simply.